Back here at Dover International Speedway with 77 laps to go. There is first and second right in your screen. In fact, zipping right on through. With Carl Edwards in front of the 33 of Clint Boyer. Now those two have opened up a 4-second lead over the young 19-year-old who's running in third place. Let's go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance, and Dave Burns, you're up first.
Pretty happy with his car right now. Crew Chief Jason Ratcliffe told me this morning that Ryan, being a quiet guy, doesn't give a lot of feedback, but what he gives to you is accurate. And when you give him what he needs, he is fast. And remember that adjustment we talked about, a little more turn at the beginning of the run, and it's worked out well for Ryan. The 16 car of Trevor Bayne gives great feedback as well, but sometimes Crew Chief Chad Norris tells me there's too much of a good thing. So to keep him from saying quite as much on the radio this week, they moved the radio talk button on his steering wheel. They moved it lower so that it was harder to get to. Trevor kind of laughed about it when we was asked about it today, but he says, I'm going to give him feedback anyway. So far, it's been all good. Doc?
Back behind him in fifth, Brad Keselowski says pulling the rubber out of the right rear helped for a little while, but now he says, I am free off the turn and basically lacking overall grip. He said, I've got to hit every single mark perfectly in order to drive this car aggressively lap after lap. Now, behind him is the 38 car of Casey King, and Casey has not said a single thing on the radio since the last pit stop, which means they have made the car much better with the track bar adjustment up and wedge in the left rear. Vince.
Running in seventh is the 11 car of Brian Scott. We told you a little bit earlier, sometimes you forget about Scott with all the attention the 18 and the 20 draw out of the Joe Gibbs camp, but this 11 team with crew chief Kevin Kidd have really been picking it up of late. Third off the pole at Chicagoland on the last race, and they're having another good run. It's a little bit too free for Brian right now, though. Jamie?
And Ricky Stenhouse behind him started the day off with Carl Edwards, same setup. He and Carl Edwards worked together throughout their one and only practice session yesterday, but the cars have gone in opposite directions. This was Ricky's radio.
Tight. We're going to blow this right front before it's over with. Well, don't do that. Just do what you got to do. Just keep it intact there, and we'll get you fixed up. Just be nice and smooth here. Got a lot of racing to do.
Saying he's so tight, he's worried he's going to blow that right front, and they're telling him just take it easy on your equipment. Meanwhile, they're telling him he's the fastest car on the track right now. Doc?
Back behind them, Elliott Sadler, who restarted after a lengthy pit stop to take a rubber out of the right rear in 12th position. Now he's up to 9th. But right now, Elliott is saying the car has just gotten really, really loose everywhere. Loose in and loose off. Elliott still believes if they finish in the top 5 the final 6 races, they, meaning the 2 car, will win the championship. Jamie.
And it's just been a loose kind of day for Joey Logano. They tried to get the car better. They put a spring rubber in the first stop, and it was only partially in, so it didn't help at all. The last stop, they dropped 2 lug nuts, and they got that spring rubber in, so the car's gotten a little bit better, but he's just hovering around the top 10 position. Let's go back upstairs to Marty.
And Jamie, he was brought in to drive that 18 for the Owners' Championship points. They came in leading by 30. Right now, the way they run, that margin would be cut to 16 because Carl Edwards is running out front. Now we also have a total of 16 cars on the lead lap behind Logano. It's Allgaier, Stephen Wallace, Reed Sorensen, Kenny Wallace, Mike Bliss, and Jamie McMurray. That's the 16 that are on the lead lap. In fact, McMurray is about to go down 1. To the NASCAR Nationwide Series here at Dover. OneMain Financial 200. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. 61 laps to go. Carl Edwards has led 123. And boy, it's got to be a bit frustrating for the guy in second right there in the 33, Clint Boyer. It has been right around a half second. These guys are about evenly as matched as you possibly get at this stretch of the race.
Yeah, it just kind of seesaws a little bit when Carl catches a lap car. Clint's able to close up a little bit. And then when Clint has to pass a car in a bad spot, he loses a little ground. But these cars really are very closely matched today.
Farther back in the field, our championship points leader, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., is running in the 7th position. And let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, we reported on that story about the right front getting worn out on Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s radio. They continue to talk about it.
Do not overdrive that thing into a wreck, I'm telling you right now. You got to be smart and smooth and drive and think like a champion here. Just be smooth. We got a lot of time to go here.
Now they're telling him he is in control. Don't overdrive that car. Don't overdrive it into the corners, and be smart. There's only so many adjustments they can do to help him on pit road.
What can you do, Dale? I mean, really, when you've got an issue like that, the car's tight, how can you take care of that right front behind the wheel?
And Ricky Stenhouse is doing a little bit of it right there. You see, he's moved up on the racetrack some. You don't have to turn the wheel quite as much. Easing out of the throttle just a little bit. You can still drive it down in pretty good, but just roll out to where you're not loading that up so much. And be careful as you exit the corner not to put that load too much on it too by turning the wheel more. So there are things that you can do, but it's very, very difficult to try to get some speed and take care of the tire.
And the thing he has to keep in mind is the two guys he's battling for this championship. Elliott Sadler's behind him in 11th. Reed Sorensen is running 13th.
Yeah, this is a young man that just, when he straps in that race car, he thinks about one thing, and that's going as fast as that race car will possibly go. First time really battling for a championship, so these are things he's going to have to learn.
Yeah, and he's getting good advice from the roof, from his spotters, because that, he needs that. He needs somebody to tell him, hey, look at this big picture here, because in the blink of an eye, if that right front goes down, he's not going to be leading the points.
And one thing I have watched him, though, throughout this day is he gets in the corner a lot harder than the cars that he's been racing around. So that's one way that you really abuse that tire.
This green flag stretch has been 66 laps since we came back from our last caution. And there is your race leader, Carl Edwards. He's led 129 of them. He has led the most laps in both of his Dover wins and all 6 of his wins in 2011. It's a good sign for him and a bad for everybody else.
Back at Dover, race leader
like
Carl Edwards has just put Reed Sorensen a lap down, but on the track earlier in our 5-hour energy rapid recap, the points leader, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., having a bit of a handling issue today.
Yeah, he was real concerned with his car earlier. The car just wasn't handling right for him. They made some major adjustments to the car. They've actually got a lot better now. But take a look at his pit stop. Real tight pit stop leaving. Ricky gets out. Elliott Sadler has a problem back there. Making a chassis adjustment, really falls a lot of spots.
Yeah, Elliott Sadler was a pole sitter coming into this, but hurt a little bit by that pit stop. How impressive has Ryan Truex been?
Outstanding job for Ryan Truex. We've seen him a couple of times this year in this Gibbs car, and he's run really strong. He is absolutely performing well today, running 3rd right now. Strong run for this young man who's destined to be a star.
Some perspective on that. He was 18th here in May, running 2 laps down. He's now 3rd. In the 18 car today, Joey Logano, fighting for the Owners' Championship, had some trouble on pit road earlier. As they run right now, that lead in the Owners' Championship over the 60 car about cut in half. And Rusty, how about this guy? Brian Scott, currently running up towards the front in 8th.
Yeah, I tell you, he's picked up a couple positions from the start of the race. Right now, he just moved into 7th position. And I tell you, he's having one of the best runs he's had for a long time.
Let's get more on that 20 car. Ryan Truex going down. Dave, what's going on?
He wants more. He wants more fuel. He wants more tires. So Ryan Truex will be coming down to pit road at this point. He said he was told whatever you're doing on your laps, you're a lot better than you were before. So it looks like they're just going to change 4 tires, a little wedge adjustment for Ryan right now. He starts this round of pit stops.
And they're coming under the green flag. You saw the number 2 of Elliott Sadler as he was about to go a lap down. He is making his pit stop. And this should be the last round of pit stops. There is the number 2, and he needs a much better stop than the last time. Let's go to Jamie Little. The 18's in.
And Joey Logano, he's just saying he's loose all day, which is the exact opposite of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Air pressure adjustment for the 18, wedge and 4 tires. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, the leader is in, Doc.
Elliott Sadler, major chassis adjustment. Elliott said, I just can't take it anymore. The car is so loose, almost sideways, almost wrecking sideways. Major chassis adjustment and 4 tires plus Sunoco. Dave.
The leader has come to pit road. Carl Edwards wants the air back in the fronts the way it was. Maybe a wedge adjustment as well. The car gets a little tight, late center of the gas. You see the wrench in the rear window, and the caution is out.
Yellow's out.
So the caution comes out, our 4th of the day. And there's the 60 just finally getting back off pit road. The 33 of Clint Boyer getting off pit road. There's Brian Scott. Waiting to hear official word for the reason for the caution.
You can see the damage on
the 11 of Brian Scott. Oh, look at this. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and
oh my, there's your caution.
The view from Stenhouse.
Like Brian Scott just tried to get too much, getting down to the pit road speed.
One more look. Scott was 7th.
Just can't quite get it
make
turned.
it.
Man.
And that is sand that those barrels are full. And Vince, what do you hear?
Well, it's unfortunate because Kevin Kidd, the crew chief, had just told Brian Scott to be careful on entry to the pits because of the fact that they are the very first box, and this is a difficult enough pit lane to get onto from the track anyway. So dangerous to begin with, had given him a warning, didn't work out. Jamie?
And Ricky Stenhouse Jr., of course, was on pit road. The caution came out, and he had to bypass his pit stop and stayed out. So right now he is 7th, and they're just telling him on the radio, stay out until they open pit road, and we'll bring you down.
Well, for those of you who have great memories, this is something that's similar to what happened to Matt Kenseth a few years ago here at Dover.
This is one of the hardest tracks to get on pit road, Dale.
Yeah, well, it is difficult to get on pit road. You're carrying a lot of speed. You want to make time. Matt Kenseth didn't fare too well there, for sure. We keep showing that over and over. Of course, Brian Scott, that was to the inside. These are put up right there at the edge of the wall.
Yeah, they've
that separates the track.
reconfigured this whole thing here. They reconfigured pit road. They moved that entrance up, back more.
And there's exactly what they were talking about. There's the 11 pit stall, the very first one in, and Brian was having a difficult time making the turn, and the end result is our 4th caution with 40 laps to go here at Dover. All right, back here at Dover, we'll sort out what happened to those guys that pitted just as the caution came out. Here are the cars still on the lead lap, led by Brad Keselowski, as he is now making a stop with Casey Kane right behind him. And Dr. Jerry Punch there, heading your way.
Indeed.
So as those two work their way down, we'll get down to Doc as soon as we can. And you see the other cars that were also on the lead lap, Trevor Bayne, Clint Boyer. And now let's send it to Doc.
All right, Marty, down here on pit road, final pit stop of the day. Brad Keselowski says the car is tight on landing, but a 4 or 5 loose on exit. So it's air pressure, track bar, and tape. Now in front of him is a 38 car of Casey Kane. He says the car not bad, gives a little more grip, wedge out, and air pressure on Casey Kane. Updating on Stenhouse, Jamie.
And Ricky Stenhouse finally got the stop he was trying to get. They made a roundup wedge in the right rear 4 tires and filled it up with Sunoco fuel. They had a little scare, though. They were worried they were out of fuel, but he was just fine, Marty.
All right, so Stenhouse comes back out onto the track. We can tell you that, remember, Boyer and Edwards, they were in pit road when the caution came out. They were able to get back out. They stayed on the lead lap. We'll have to wait for all the scoring to cycle through now with everybody else making their stops. And we'll be able to reset and show you exactly how many cars are going to restart this race on the lead lap. As there you see another group, the group that's 1 lap down, now making their way down pit road.